1. Okay, so 2011, I was looking for a new job. I applied for a job at a national thrift store chain that has a G and a W in their name. Y'all can probably figure that right out. The one I applied at had a coffee shop and cafe in it, and I just applied to be a counter person in that part of the store. They called me, and I went to the interview. When I got there, they wanted me to be a manager of the coffee shop. I was iffy about it, but I took it. The pay was okay, so I said, hell with it. They hired me, and the person who hired me was like, I'll call you in a day or two, and I'll tell you when to go to the office and do some paperwork and such. They called the next day and was like, you can run by the office and pick stuff up. Show them your SS card and all. And I was like, sure. I had some errands to run too, so off I went. And that was when I realized this was going to be a shit job. They had an office space in a local office park, and I got there and walked in. There was a receptionist at the desk, and when I walked in the door, she shouted at me, "You can't wear that in here." I was like, what? And then she goes, "Go outside and remove that hat and come back in." I was like, what the hell? Did she have to yell at me like that? So I went out and left the hat and came back in, and I was real short with her. I was like, fucking bitch. So anyways, got it done. Over the next days, I had to take a drug test and a complete physical exam, which seemed odd for me too for basically a retail management job. So I finally started working, and the first thing I noticed was that almost everyone working there outside of cashiers, soups, and management was disabled in some way or another. I had no idea at the time, but I am well aware of it now, that this company basically exploits disabled people and pays them shit pay. And the person who I was supposed to shadow and learn from was a complete jerk. They often made snide comments about the disabled people, and I was just thinking, that's not cool at all. The first 4 days working there were long, and pretty much tried my patience all day. I was already thinking of quitting, and just getting a job waiting tables somewhere. Now, we are at the 5th day, and just the oddest encounter I've ever had on a job in my life, I was 41 at the time, happened, which led me to quit but get fired at the same time. Let me say here, as this is why it happened, I am a third. So I don't use my first or middle name, I go by a different name. Again, some of you can figure that out. So 5th day, like 1 in the afternoon, I was really hating it. And I was off in a large walk-in storage area back behind the cafe section. And this woman I'd never seen before, wearing nothing that would ID her to me as someone who even worked for this company. And she goes, there's no better way to put this. She was white. But she was speaking real ghetto and goes, "Why do it say Trey in your name tag?" And I looked at her, and I honest to God thought it was some homeless person who'd wandered into the back area. We did have homeless people who gathered around the store, so I go, "I'm sorry, who are you?" And she got this really pissed off look in her face. She goes, "That name doesn't be on your application." And again, I'm like, who in the hell are you? So she goes around in circles with me for over a minute and got pretty nasty to me. Turns out she was like the area employee, labor manager, supervisor, or something like that, and had been sent there to check in with me. Like I said, she was being downright nasty with me. So finally I was like, get lost. I quit, and started walking off. She starts carrying on about how I can't just quit, I have to sign all this stuff and blah blah blah. I turned around and went, fuck off lady, I'm not signing shit, and I quit, bye. So I get out onto the floor. I did not have the store keys or a pass card or anything yet. And I get about halfway towards the front door, and I hear some guy calling me. I turn around and it's security. He's going, "You can't just leave. I can't let you leave. You need to come sign stuff." Go, no, and keep going. I get outside, and this guy is following me going, "You can't leave till you need to sign the paperwork." And I'm still going. Get lost. So I get to my car and get in it. And I look behind me. He's standing behind my car, blocking me from backing out. So I started the car and started backing up. He got out of the damn way. As I was leaving, I noticed he was taking pictures of my car. I guess my tag? I don't know. I stuck my arm out the window and flicked him off as I drove off. To shorten this up, they failed to deposit my check for the 4.5 days I did work. So I ended up having to go to the labor department and file a complaint against them. And I did get the money after about a month. They mailed me a check. Over the years, I've met other people, online mostly, who had similar run-ins with this company. And of course, I got online and read all the nasty things they do, bad practices, mistreatment of workers, be they disabled or not, and I just always wonder how they're even allowed to operate in the way they do. I also often think just what the fuck were they wanting me to sign when I left? I meant to add, this basically happened because this idiot of a woman was too stupid to grasp the concept of being a third or fourth, and being named after their dad. But you go by another name. Apparently, she thought I made up a name for my name tag. She even asked me once during the argument that if she called my mom and asked for my name, what would she say? That is when I was like, good lord, you are fucking dumb, lady. I never, in my entire life, have been around a larger group of assholes in one place, like I was with that company. Everyone in there who wasn't some vastly underpaid, exploited worker was a straight-up douche of a human being. The other thing about them is they are huge on loss prevention. They are fucking bonkers paranoid about employees stealing from them. I was thinking, I get that, what company isn't? But you're getting all this shit for free in the first place, so what loss are you really taking here? They could barely be bothered about customer shoplifting, though. They would really just shrug about that and have the, we can't really stop it attitude. In fact, on my second day there, I saw someone steal a CD. I called security, and the guy came up, and I was like, that's him over there. The security guy was like, I'll check the footage later, and walked off. 2. So I've always been a very self-confident type of person, but also easygoing and always doing my best to be decent to people. I was just brought up that way. I also expect it from others, and have absolutely zero patience for people who think it's okay to act out or be blatantly rude. One afternoon, I was at Wally World trying to do some shopping. I hadn't thought much about it, but I happened to be wearing the store's colors. A dark blue button-up shirt, neat jeans, and nice work shoes. I am a trucker and was wearing a shirt for my company. I just like to dress nice and look respectable, and dress like this all the time. At any rate, I then hear it, a Karen in the wild. A forceful clearing of the throat. Excuse me? I turned to look, and I kid you not. I wouldn't have believed anyone could look like the stereotype, but there she stood. Business attire and shoulder-length straight platinum blonde hair, a huge the world bows to my whims attitude. She gazed at me sternly, her eyes steely, her demeanor as if she were about to berate a servant who had erred. I stared, silent, for a moment, gathering back a swell of irritation at just seeing the attitude this lady had. Then just simply blurted, "What?" She jerked back, incredulous, as though I had just slapped her. But she was also quick to recover, her look of steely-eyed and now very justified outrage staring out at me from within her perfectly coiffed, straight platinum blonde locks. "Employees should not speak to a customer in such a fashion," she informed me. Yes, she used those exact words, and did inform me. As though I had done something very wrong by addressing such an important customer in such an impertinent manner. My brows just went up, that was all. But I said in a very level tone, "I don't work here." Then I turned away from her, just intent on going back to my shopping. "You do not turn away from me?" She seethed from behind me, then went so far as to grab the back of my suspenders. I very calmly turned back around, looked down at her for a sec. I am 6 foot, and she was like 5'1.5" or something. Then I leaned down very close to her face, this was long before COVID, and began in a very low voice. I said, "I do not work here." By the time I was out with here, I was so loud that could have been heard all the way through this superstore. I think I even blew their hair back a little. The look on her face was wonderful. I'm sorry. I thought you were. Thought I was an employee? Yes? I was still dead in her face, my eyes now 10 times harder than hers could ever be. which you thought gave you the right to speak to me and treat me as though I was beneath you. I leaned in even closer. She stood spellbound, a viper and mouse. She the mouse, me the viper. Well, I've got news for you, lady. Buying stuff from a store and spending a little money does not grant you the license to abuse or belittle people. At which point I straightened up, and then did turn in my heel and walked away from her, while she stood there, gawping like a fish out of water, absolutely speechless. It was delightfully wonderful. 3. I work at a supermarket that is a major company in my country, not America, and unfortunately we all have to wear uniforms. My particular uniform includes heavy-duty pants and boots as a requirement. I work at a store that is in the next suburb from where I live, and my local stores, there are 2 equal distance from home, where I shop for my own groceries, are places I visit after work quite often, as not all stores stock the same items. Some things sell more in different areas and therefore are stocked in those areas and not others. Quite often after work, I go to my local store to pick up things my own store does not sell. The sheer number of times I am bothered and abused by customers at these stores simply because I happen to wear a uniform from that store. Most of the time, I try my best to help despite it not being my job to do so since I am not on the clock. What makes it worse is when I'm at my local hardware store that has very similar style uniforms to ours. So I constantly get questions and demands when I have no idea what they're trying to say or why they're bothering me, until I remember my uniform is similar to the ones used at the hardware store. The way it usually goes is, do you know where the self-sealing stem belts are? Or, why aren't self-sealing stem belts sold here? Why are there none of these items on the shelf? I'm not sure, I respond, since when I'm not in the supermarket, I actually work at or am at my local hardware store. I genuinely don't know. Why not? You work here. Actually, I really don't. Yes, you do. You're wearing their uniform. Ma'am, if I'm at a different supermarket, I work at a different store, and I'm only here to get my own groceries, or for the hardware store. I have no idea. Sorry. To which they flatly disbelieve what I said and proceed to whinge about how bad my customer service is, or how badly I was trained, because I don't know the answer to their questions. If I'm in a different store from my town, I find another team member to ask them to help the customer, taking them off my back. Or if I'm in the hardware store, I simply walk away since I have no obligation to help them, since my uniform means nothing to the hardware store. I quite often deliberately take my uniform off, or cover it up just to avoid being harassed by annoying 60-something women. Sometimes I'm just too tired, or it's summer, and I don't want to boil putting a jacket on. I keep a jacket in my car for this sole purpose, but I'm thinking of putting a shirt in there too to cover up my uniform when it is summer. 4. I worked for Michael's Arts and Crafts store on and off for about 9 years. The last couple of times it was during the holidays to get extra money. I was a front-end supervisor the first several years, and eventually despised being on a register due to asshole customers. I had one get me so upset one time while pregnant that I went into preterm labor that luckily was halted by a doctor. I even told the hiring manager that I didn't want to run a register unless there were a ton of people in line. So one evening about 8:30 I got called up due to a long line. The store was mostly dead by this point, and it seemed all of the customers decided to check out at the same time. I go up on a register, and get the line down. I can't hear what the other cashier and her customer is saying, but I can tell it's getting heated because the customer keeps getting louder and louder. I check out a line of 6 or 7 people, while the cashier has the same lady who was there when I walked up. I finish with the last person in line and start listening. The customer is damn near irate over coupons. She is trying to purchase 7 of the same expensive products and wanted to use a 50% off coupon on each. The cashier is trying to explain as nicely as possible to the lady that company policy is 1 coupon type per customer per day. Customer is yelling at her to just ring them up separately. Once again, cashier is trying to explain that she's not even allowed to do that. The office employees count coupons and check over purchases, blah blah blah. This girl, the cashier is like 16, this is her first ever job. She'd only been there for a little over a week, and yes, management put fear in her over breaking coupon policy. She was trying so hard to be nice to the customer, but that lady just wasn't having it. Customers just yelling and saying cashier just doesn't want to help her. The other cashiers will do it, and so on. Customer walks to put her cart up with a stack of coupons in her hand, still yelling, and running her mouth the whole time. She gets back to the register and grabs her bag of one purchase. I'm still at my register trying to sort paperwork. I'm just about to walk over to try to help when the customer tries to throw her coupons in the cashier's face. Before I even realized what I was doing, I was out from behind my register and in this lady's face, yelling at her to get the hell out of the store before I called the police on her. She goes on to say that she will call them on me. Okay, bitch, go right ahead. I'll show them the video of you attempting to assault my cashier. And whatever charges for trying to cheat the company by using so many coupons. Get the hell out of this store. She is obviously shocked by my yelling in her face and cussing at her. She goes, "Are you the manager?" By this point, the manager on duty had heard the yelling and rushed up, but was standing off to the side. No, I'm not, but she is standing right over there and she'll back me 100%. And let me tell you, I'm a hell of a lot nicer than her. Get the hell out of here, now. Customer huffed and looked at me and the manager who had her cell in her hand about to call the police, but didn't say another word and walked out. It was at that moment I realized I needed to get out of retail and never work behind a register again. It all happened very quickly, much quicker than it sounds. I should have called the manager up as soon as I heard the lady getting louder, but I guess I figured I could handle it when I was free. I apologized to the cashier that I didn't step in sooner or get help. She was teary-eyed, but then busted out laughing, talking about the customer's face when I yelled at her and called her a bitch. Turns out she had a wonderful sense of humor and was a pretty cool kid. Also, the coupons didn't actually touch her face, and even if they had, she wouldn't have even gotten a paper cut due to the paper being too thin. I went to the store manager first thing the next morning to explain what happened and to prepare for corporate to be pissed at me. I always warned them when I figured someone was going to complain about me. I guess I put the fear in the lady because she never called anyone to complain about me. 5. So this was back in college, at the local Walmart that is known for always being interesting. I have so many stories from this place. I swear this Walmart is like a Karen beacon. This story is a bit chaotic. Some relevant info. I'm pale, and at the time walked with a cane. I have a condition where my heart rate can get too high and my blood pressure can drop and I can pass out. From standing too long, usually, but anxiety can bring on episodes too. I wear a headscarf on holidays and special occasions. Now, there are many types of styles of headscarves. On this day, I was wearing it in a style where it completely covered my head and then draped around my neck and was secured with pins. I use dressmaking pins. They're not very visible in this scarf, but they do not have anything covering their pointy ends. I make sure I place them so they will hold the fabric in place and not stick me. Since it is a holiday, I am also wearing traditional clothing, a long skirt, a white shirt with some embroidery on it, and a fabric belt. This also happened right after the 2016 election. My college town went from one Nazi group to 3 literally overnight. They would come onto campus a lot to harass us. The racists were very emboldened at that time. This was maybe a few weeks after, where stuff had calmed down a bit, but it was still pretty bad. I made the mistake of going to Walmart alone in traditional clothing. So, I'm going around the Walmart picking up a few things. My backpack is in the front of the cart, so I don't have the extra weight on me. I'm standing at one of those aisle ends. I was trying to find something, and had to look up where it was on my phone. Out of nowhere, my headscarf is ripped off my head as someone behind me yells, "Terrorist bitch!" Luckily, the scarf only had the end around my neck. So it pulled on my neck, but it didn't full-on choke me. Still, this definitely activated my fight or flight response. This woman, Karen, then starts screaming as I turned around. Apparently, one of the pins had stuck her when she ripped my scarf off. She is screaming that I am a terrorist, I assaulted her, she wants the manager and the police called, etc. This couple had been down the aisle and saw it happen and ran over. This woman, nice woman, kinda threw her sweatshirt on my head and got between me and Karen. I was panicking at first but realized she was trying to help cover my head, and the man with her, the nice man, had also gotten between us and was yelling at Karen. The nice man grabbed my scarf back and handed it to nice woman, who handed it to me. And she took her sweatshirt and held it up around my head to sort of block people's view of my head while I tried to get my scarf back on. The Karen is still screaming that she wants the police to arrest me for being a terrorist and assaulting her. How dare he! She's digging through her purse to find pepper spray because she wants to spray me and the man. I honestly didn't even wrap my scarf properly. I wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. A nearby employee had come out of an aisle to see what was happening and ran off to get the manager, I'm assuming. The nice man is yelling back at Karen and had confiscated the pepper spray from her. Karen is screaming that I'm a traitor to my own race, along with her earlier insults, and is demanding that the nice man pin me to the floor so she can pepper spray me and do a citizen's arrest, and keep me there until the police and FBI arrived. She is adamant I'm a terrorist. So at this point I'm shaking and crying. My heart rate is extremely high, and I know I need to leave or I'm going to pass out. The nice woman asked if I wanted to leave. I nodded. She grabbed my backpack and the arm that I'm not holding the cane in, and she quickly walks me down the aisle and out of the store. We just left my cart where it was. She asked where my car was, and I tried explaining that I'm a college student and I have to wait for the bus. But I'm coughing and trying to breathe as my heart rate is well over 180 at this point. Nice woman sees this and explains that she is a nurse and I'm clearly not okay, and asks my medical condition and what I need. I explained what it is and that I need to sit or lay down because I'm gonna pass out. She offered me to sit in their van, which usually would obviously be a no, but we are standing in the middle of a parking lot and I'm about to pass out and currently my brain is not getting very much oxygen. She opens this side door and I sit on the edge of the car and promptly faint. I wake up a few minutes later and she's holding my wrist in one hand, checking my pulse and looking at her watch. I mumble something so she knows I'm awake and she just keeps telling me it's okay. I'm doing fine. After I recover a bit and sit up, and realize nice man is standing outside the car, I think he was trying to give me privacy. I asked for the Gatorade from my backpack and sip on that, helps with the fainting. While he explains what was going down, he says that the manager showed up with store security and he explained, over Karen's screaming, what happened, and handed the pepper spray to the security guy, and that the police had been called. I look over and sure enough there's cop cars pulled up to the front of the store. Nice man asked if I had been hurt, if I wanted to talk to the police. Honestly, I'm scared of cops and just wanted to go home, so I declined to talk to the police or press charges. The nice man went back inside to talk to the police a bit more, and I tried to fix my scarf a little better. I just lost a few pins through all this, which was kind of annoying, so I couldn't wrap it how it was earlier. The nice woman told me my heart rate had been around 200 when I passed out, and luckily, it had come down again quickly because she had considered calling an ambulance. She lets me know nice man is texting her and reads out to me what is going on back in the store. As it turns out, I didn't need to press charges. Karen was so infuriated that nice man would help a terrorist bitch to get away, she got a bit aggressive. She was yelling at the manager, security, and the police officers when nice man came back in. When she saw him, she rips out her pepper spray, apparently they were dumb enough to give it back to her, and is screaming at him. Cop grabs her arm to stop her. She tries to pepper spray the cop, gets taken down and cuffed. Nice woman is positively gleeful as she tells me about Karen getting tackled. Apparently, then Karen started screaming about suing the cops, getting the FBI involved. The classic Karen stuff. I didn't get to see Karen get taken off to jail, sadly. My bus pulled up, and the nice woman helped me over to it. Since then, I refuse to go by myself to any store if I'm wearing a headscarf, even though I live in a different area now. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 145. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do juggle 5 wet kippers, as is traditional among Scottish people at Christmas. I know you're not going to check. However, if no kippers are to hand, or you just don't like fish, then you could always like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and comment if you feel so inclined. What day is it today? It's Wednesday. I was on the thing earlier. I got the letter in last week saying, you can book a booster shot if you want one. I was more like, oh, you better book a booster shot. Oh, it's very bad. So I did, because it is very bad. And I want that booster shot. Don't care where they stick it. Give it to me. Although it looks like they're mixing the vaccines now, but apparently that's safe. So, earliest appointment I could get was Tuesday, and that's fine. It's fine. It's perfectly... It's fine. It is actually fine. That wasn't too bad. I thought I'd have to wait later. So I'll go get this on Tuesday. Hopefully there's no reaction. See, the thing is, I had AstraZeneca the first 2 times. Barely a reaction at all. A little bit of a headache. Even milder reaction with the second one. I'm hoping it will also be mild with this, because I don't know which one they're going to give me, but they're using 2 different ones. And neither of them is AstraZeneca. But there we go. Gonna get it regardless. Thankfully, this time they're doing it in my local town, so I don't have to travel too far. Get a taxi down, get it, and then in theory I'll do a bit of shopping on the way home. It'll be a good... Yeah, actually, it works out well. So 21st, I'll be getting it done. And the shops should be a bit quieter by then, so I can get the very stuff I need for dinner on Christmas Day. Yay! I got a chocolate cake for a pudding this year. I usually go jam roly-poly, which I like very much, and they're also not very expensive. But I do sometimes, when it comes to puddings, use the traditional holiday excuse of, oh, it's Christmas, okay, we can spend a bit more on it, which I might do. If I see a chocolate cake I like the look of. Or I might just get a cheesecake, depending on the dates. I don't know if I get it on Tuesday, I don't know if it'll still be good on Christmas Day. Anyway, still hoping, planning, again, depending on what reaction I have to this booster, I'm hoping it's not too bad. I'm still planning to do a Christmas Day stream. It's Saturday anyway, so I'd usually be doing a stream on Saturday, but if it wasn't, I'd still be trying to do a stream. I have my purple Santa hat already. I haven't unpackaged it this time, but I definitely did order a purple one. So, yeah. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.